Have you ever wondered what makes someone a fan? I mean, really a fan. We're talking about something that goes way beyond just liking a movie or a TV show. Today, we're diving deep into the world of fandom, a world of community, identity, and some really powerful forces that can turn a simple hobby into a huge part of who you are.
Just think about that for a second. Getting in line the day before. This isn't just about passively watching something on a screen, no. This is dedication. It's about sacrifice. It's that kind of passion that makes people literally camp out on a sidewalk, all for just a few moments with a story and a community that they absolutely love.
So that's really the big question, isn't it? What's the psychological hook that pulls us in so deeply? And once you're in, what are the unwritten rules of the road? That's what we're going to explore today. We're going to unpack the mechanics of modern fandom from the inside out. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by getting on the same page about what fandom actually is. Then we'll get into the psychology of why some stories are just so magnetic. After that, we'll step inside these fan communities to figure out their social codes and how people gain status. We'll also look at how technology is shaking everything up. And finally, we'll zoom out and talk about why all of this matters so much more than you might think.
All right, first things first. Before we can really get into the nitty-gritty, we need to have a solid definition. So, when we use the word fandom, what are we really talking about?
This definition from psychologist Jennifer Lynn Barnes is, well, perfect. Let's just break it down real quick. Self-identified collective. That means it's a choice. You raise your hand and say, yep, I'm one of them. It's part of your identity. And the second part, highly emotionally and imaginatively invested, that's the real engine here. It's not just liking something, it's feeling it. It's the daydreaming, the theorizing, the creating. It's connecting on a whole other level.
And that really gets at the two sides of the fandom coin. On one side, you've got this very personal, internal pull, the psychological needs that these stories fill for us. But on the other side, you have this whole complex social world that pops up around it, with its own rules, its own hierarchies, its own drama. And we're going to look at both.
So let's start with that internal pull. You know, why do some stories, like Harry Potter or Star Wars, spark these massive global movements, while others just kind of fade away? What's the secret sauce that makes a story fandom ready?
Well, according to the research, the #1 driver is one of the most basic human needs we have, the need to belong. We are fundamentally wired to want to be part of a tribe, a crew, a family. And here's the crazy part. Our brains are totally cool with filling that need with a fictional group. We can feel a very real sense of belonging with a team of superheroes or a family of wizards.
And what's fascinating is how storytellers, maybe without even realizing it, tap into this. It's almost like a formula. First, you have a new character join the group. That sends a signal to us, the audience, that, hey, this group is open to new members, maybe even us. Second, you give the group identifiers, crests, secret handshakes, special names. These are things we can adopt in the real world. And third, you give the audience privileged access, secrets and inside jokes that make us feel like we're part of the inner circle.
Okay, so that explains how we get pulled in as individuals. But what happens next? Well, once you're through the door, you pretty quickly find out there's a whole social structure in place, with a ton of unwritten rules about how to fit in.
And at the absolute heart of that social structure is this major distinction between a true fan and a casual fan. Now, nobody gives you a badge, but believe me, this label is powerful. A true fan is someone who puts in the work. They have incredible knowledge, they show real effort, and they've been around for the long haul. A casual fan, on the other hand, just kind of enjoys it when it crosses their path. And this difference, this is the foundation for the entire social hierarchy of a fandom.
And don't think for a second this is just some friendly disagreement. The stakes can be surprisingly high. As this person from an old fan forum describes, you can get judged, even excoriated, basically torn apart for not meeting that true fan ideal. It's a form of social gatekeeping, and if you're not careful, it can get you pushed to the outside.
So if there's a social ladder, you have to wonder, how do you actually climb it? How do you prove your worth and show everyone you're a true fan? Well, it turns out it's not random. Status is earned through some very specific investments.
Researchers actually call this stuff fan capital, and it basically comes in 4 main currencies. You've got effort, doing things that are hard or inconvenient. You've got time, either hours spent on a project or just the number of years you've been a fan. You've got money, the cash you spend on tickets, travel, merch, and finally, you've got knowledge, knowing all the obscure little details. The more of this capital you have, the higher your status.
Let's just zoom in on a couple of these, starting with what might be the most respected one of all, effort. This is all about proving your commitment through actions that are, genuinely a pain to do. This quote just nails it, right? Waiting in a 6-hour line for a costume contest, a casual fan is just not going to do that. It takes a huge amount of dedication. And that visible effort becomes this powerful, undeniable signal to everyone else around you that you are devoted. You're a true fan.
All right, the second major currency is knowledge. And we're not just talking about remembering who the main character is. We're talking about having an almost encyclopedic level of detail about everything, from tiny plot points to behind-the-scenes trivia.
This example is just so perfect because it's so specific. For this guy, Jack, just hearing other people casually rattle off episode titles was enough. It was an instant signal of their higher status. He might love the show, but their command of that obscure fact proved they were, in his words, bigger fans. It's a quick way to establish your street cred in the community.
Now, of course, all of this is being completely supercharged and complicated by technology. The internet has basically thrown a giant wrench into the works, creating brand new ways for us to engage, but also creating brand new conflicts.
And a huge part of that is this idea of transmedia storytelling. It just means the story doesn't live in one box anymore. To get the whole picture, you might have to watch the show, and play the online game, and read the comic book, and follow a character's social media. Every piece adds another layer to the story.
For some fans, this is amazing. It's a dream come true. Like Pam says here, it turns being a fan into being a detective. It rewards you for digging deeper and makes you feel like you're piecing together clues that other people are missing. It's a whole new way to show off your effort and knowledge.
But then you have the other side. For fans like Jim, it's a total nightmare. He sees it not as a fun game, but as a burden. You shouldn't have to go on a scavenger hunt just to understand the plot. And this creates a huge tension in modern fandoms. Is all this extra content a fun bonus, or is it an unfair requirement that prices casual fans out of the conversation?
So, we've looked at the psychology, the social rules, the tech, which brings us to the big question. So what? Why does any of this actually matter? And here's the bottom line. When we study fandom, we're not really studying made-up stories. We're studying ourselves. We're looking at a perfect little model of how human beings create identity, build communities, and find meaning in the world. The exact same dynamics of insiders and outsiders, of status and belonging, they play out everywhere, from our workplaces to our politics. And that really leaves us with one final thought. These communities are built on this wonderful, powerful, very human need to belong. But right inside them, we see these intense pressures to define who's a true member and who isn't. So the question we're left with is, in any group we're a part of, who gets to draw that line? And what happens to the people who are left on the other side?